Hey, it's Alex from Android Central, and this is the HTC Desire 510, a new entry-level phone from HTC. As we've seen from other Desire phones like the 816 and the 610, the Desire line is HTC's mid-level series of phones, and the new Desire 510 fits right at the very lowest entry-level spot. The overall design is in keeping with previous Desire phones, with a rounded rectangular theme and rather chunky bezels. On the front you've got the usual earpiece, mic and sensors, but no boom sound front-facing speakers this time around. Instead you'll find a regular loudspeaker on the back. And unlike most other HTC phones, the battery door and battery are actually removable. We've got a 2100 mAh battery back here that actually performs quite impressively. So this is clearly a plastic phone, and a cheap plastic phone at that. But there's at least some design going on, and there's more to the Desire 510 than just a rectangle with a screen on it. On the inside, it's running Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 410 CPU, which includes 4 ARM Cortex-A53 cores at 1.2 GHz, backed up by an Adreno 306 GPU. The Cortex-A53 is actually a 64-bit CPU, but as this phone runs Android 4.4.3 KitKat, the software side of things is still very much 32-bit. That said, you do benefit from the updated ARM v8 instruction set on this chip. The fact this is an entry-level phone with 4G LTE support is also a pretty big deal, as most budget phones are still 3G only. You also get 1GB of RAM and microSD support, which you'll probably need because there's only 8GB of built-in storage, much of which you'll use up just updating the built-in apps. On top of KitKat, the Desire 510 runs HTC Sense 6, though it's a significantly cut-down experience compared to what you find in HTC's high-end stuff. You get BlinkFeed, HTC's launcher with integrated news and social updates, the Gallery app with video highlights, and a range of themes to choose from, but fancier features like Boom Sound, Motion Launch, and Sense TV are still out of bounds. The good news is the performance is surprisingly good. The Desire 510 really doesn't feel slow or laggy at all, and in many ways it actually feels a little bit quicker than more expensive devices like the One Mini 2. The biggest letdown for this phone has to be the display. It's a WVGA panel, 480 by 800, and the most generous thing we can say about it is it's very basic. Compared to most phone screens, even at the low end, it's pretty poor, and beyond the low resolution, the colours are dull, and some greys take on a weird bluish tint as well. There's also some visible ghosting and very narrow viewing angles. On top of that, the surface of the screen is strangely tacky to the touch, and tends to collect fingerprints very easily. The one saving grace is that at least it's relatively easy to use out in the sun. The camera experience is just as rudimentary. There's a 5-megapixel rear camera with 1080p video support and a VGA front facer. Both are fixed focus cameras that shoot fairly underwhelming images, though at least you've got HTC's video highlights and Zoe app to make the most of what you can capture. So the HTC Desire 510 is a very basic entry-level smartphone that has a few important features going for it. Performance is one, thanks to Snapdragon 410 CPU, as well as HTC's core software experience, and that all-important 4G LTE support as well. The display and the camera are pretty underwhelming, but you have to imagine a phone like this would be going up against the likes of Motorola's Moto E, which doesn't exactly excel in either area. And that leads us to the big unknown at the moment. We just don't know how much the Desire 510 will cost. If it's under £100 unlocked in the UK, it could go toe-to-toe with Motorola's offerings and eventually Android One in developing markets. But if it starts creeping up towards the cost of the Moto G, then it's going to be a tough sell. For more detailed thoughts on the HTC Desire 510, check out our full review on AndroidCentral.com.